Well, we'll stay with that story because I'm joined now by Asad Rehman, climate activist and co-founder of the COP26 Coalition. Good evening to you. I mean, there's just dreadful scenes coming out of Pakistan. I mean, just give us your reaction, first of all, to what you're hearing, what you're seeing.
Yes, absolutely horrific scenes. I mean, we're seeing now 33 million people directly affected, between a third to a half of Pakistan underwater, and we've already noted over 1,100 lives lost, but potentially even more lives still to be, the final figure to be determined. But it's also the huge losses that Pakistan has suffered. Something like about 900 and over 9 million homes, schools, hospitals, infrastructure absolutely destroyed. 2 million acres of food production gone. And this is a country where 80% of the population already live in poverty. This is the climate crisis unfurling and unfolding in front of our eyes.
It certainly is. And it does feel, doesn't it, that they're taking the brunt of it. And the world is responding to some extent because with that UN appeal, it's a humanitarian crisis now. But are they taking it seriously enough? Because at the end of the day, what we're seeing is climate change, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think unfortunately governments aren't taking it seriously enough. Look, Pakistan's overall contribution to this crisis is about 1%. Yeah, it's one of the most vulnerable countries in the world, and as our carbon pollution increases, global temperatures increase, Pakistan's vulnerability to these extreme floods, but also extreme heat waves. Because just a few months ago, Pakistan suffered temperatures of 53 degrees centigrade. It's impossible for human beings to be able to survive in that kind of temperature. And the cost of this just one single extreme weather event is now being totaled at potentially over tens of billions of dollars. And so, whilst there is immediate humanitarian assistance and coming in, the reality is for countries like Pakistan, and it's true for many other countries as well, the sheer scale of these impacts is overwhelming them. Now, so the first thing we've got to do, of course, is make sure we're helping the people who are already being impacted be able to deal with this crisis and recover from it. But the reality is whilst we increase carbon pollution, expand our fossil fuels, we're just throwing a lighted match onto this crisis. And unfortunately, the richest countries in the world, whilst they're sending their condolences to
Mm.
Pakistan, they're at the same time expanding fossil fuels. You simply can't do that. If we want to stop this, what's happening in Pakistan becoming an everyday occurrence in some parts of the world, we have to reduce our emissions. And the climate scientists have told us what we need to do. And that means we have to globally reduce our emissions by 2030 by half.
Mm.
That means rich countries need to be really moving away from fossil fuels. And it's really unfortunate that today the government is announcing even more fossil fuel expansion in the North Sea of oil and gas.
Mm.
We have to break that addiction and we have to invest in clean energy and, of course, helping some of the poorest people in the world who are the least responsible for a crisis that is overwhelming their ability to be able to respond.
I mean, it does feel odd, doesn't it? Because the energy crisis, it's pushing many countries, our own. You said that has come as a suggestion to look towards fossil fuels. Yeah, I know you worked on COP26. I mean, we were talking about ending fossil fuels. So it does seem very much at odds, doesn't it? Where are we going here?
Absolutely. Look, every single climate science report for the last decades has said if you want to end and stop the climate crisis from unraveling, we have to stop expanding our fossil fuels and we have to draw down and end our addiction to fossil fuels. And unfortunately, majority of countries are simply not doing that, including some of the richest countries who do have the resources to be able to invest in renewable energy. So take, for example, the UK. Of course, we have a situation where we're in a cost of living crisis. Many people are worried about heating their homes or feeding their families. What the government should be doing, as governments all around the world should be doing, is investing in renewable energy, investing in energy efficiency measures such as retrofitting our homes so that they're warmer, investing in more public transport so people can get out of cars but are able to get where they want cheaply and safely. These are all measures we know that need to be done. What's lacking is the political will, not the solutions. The solutions are out there. And unfortunately, one of the reasons why we're not breaking our addiction is the amount of money that the fossil fuel companies are making. And just in the last 3 decades, they've posted $2 trillion in profit, and they're now banking on posting even more billions in the coming years
Mm.
because they know governments can't break their addiction, but we clearly need to if we want to have a planet where people are able to live with dignity and survive these climate impacts.
Well, it does feel like we're at breaking point, doesn't it? Asad Rehman, thank you very much. You paint a bleak picture, but thank you very much for all your insight tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.